cardio is not the best way to burn fat. I used to run miles on miles a week and I would still be fat, or even worse, I would be skinny fat, right? I'll explain why cardio doesn't work alone and what does. We'll talk about exactly what the fat loss hierarchy is, cardio mistakes, and 3 smart alternatives. Now, cardio does burn calories, but not enough. And I'll explain to you what that means. Say you run for 30 minutes, right? In terms of nutritional value, you've probably burned off a slice of pizza rather, right? Not even a whole pizza, right? You've burned off a slice of pizza. So what would be more efficient in your opinion? Would it be to run 30 minutes outside, right? If you're even capable of running for 30 minutes outside, or would you just rather not eat a slice of pizza? I think the answer is very simple. You would just rather not eat the slice of pizza and be more efficient, be more smarter, be more clever. Cardio does burn calories, don't get me wrong. In terms of cardio, it needs to be a tool. Cardio is not a punishment. A lot of people think, you know what, I'm starting to gain some weight, let me start running a lot, because that's what they deserve, right? Because they're fat, they need to be punished and banished to the treadmill. They need to be banished to the the running track. But it's not very smart, it's not very efficient. You need to be tracking your calories, being smart about what you eat, because just running all day like a hamster, it won't, you lose some weight, don't get me wrong, but it's not very efficient and you'll probably hate your life as well. So cardio burns calories, but it doesn't burn enough. And leading on to the next point, you can't out-train a bad diet. There was a very, very long time where I was eating a lot, right? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be running, I'm going to be playing sports, whatnot. I'll be able to get away with it. I'll be fine because, I'm active. But it doesn't do anything. It does not do anything. If anything, it makes you mentally weaker, because you think to yourself, I'm active, so I don't really have to worry about my diet. But that's where it gets worse, because say, for example, whatever happens, right? Say you might get injury and your eating habits, you're not even really aware until it's too late. So if you're someone who eats like crazy and you've got an injury, you won't even realize. And the thing is, after you realize, you'll be like, you know what, I was eating too much all along, but I was just exercising quite a bit. So it's a bit of a slippery slope. Sometimes it can work, but most of the time it ends very, very badly. You cannot out-train a bad diet. So make sure your diet is clean. Make sure it's clean. And what I mean by clean, I'll break down exactly what a good diet is in terms of gaining an aesthetic physique, which we're all which is something we're all after. So say, for example, right now you're consuming 3,000 calories and you're someone who's at about 20% body fat. The quickest way you can start losing weight and start losing fat is going on a 500 calorie deficit, switching to a whole food diet. Make sure you're getting in at least 1 gram of protein per centimeter in height, or getting 0.81 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So just in terms of basic language, if you're 180 centimeters in height, then aim for 180 grams of protein. Or if you're 200 pounds in terms of weight, then aim for 200 grams of protein. As simple as that. Switch to a whole food diet. What do I mean by whole food? Just eat simple food, real food, like chicken, like potatoes, like fruit, like steak or beef. Anything which is natural. Not things which have like 5,000 different ingredients full of food colorings, preservatives. Like, for example, you get bread and the expiry date on the bread is like 3 months or something stupid like that. You just know that bread is not real food. It's fake food. It was made in a lab. It's not real food. Make sure you're getting in your protein. It has to be a whole food diet. If you're someone who can tolerate greens, you can tolerate dairy and stuff like that, I would highly recommend raw dairy, so raw milk, raw cheese. I've not really had the opportunity to get raw cheese, but raw cheese apparently is very, very good. I've had raw milk. Get raw kefir as well. If you're someone who's got like gut issues, skin issues, things like that, all them kind of things which heal your gut will have a positive impact on your skin, how you feel, how you look. Also getting some greens and vegetables as well if you're someone who can tolerate them. That made a massive difference to me, because it helped my skin, it helped my hair, helped my body. It helped me get rid of a lot of bloat I had as well, and it's just very good. As long as you train in an aesthetic way, you're getting your protein in, and you're on a whole food diet, there's literally nothing stopping you whatsoever. And if you want a proper breakdown for that, join my school community. It's free. The link will be in the description below. Join that. The first one, click on that. Quick plug. And the third one is weight training. If you're someone who's trying to lose weight training in the long term is better than doing cardio, because having muscle on your body allows you to lose more fat, right? So don't get caught up in that thing where a lot of, like, especially brown people as well, some of my friends and people I know, they're like, I'm going to start losing fat first. So what they do is they get on a calorie deficit and they just start running a lot, or they start doing loads and loads of cardio, and what ends up happening is they get like a skinny fat physique. Like, they'll have skinny arms, no muscle on them arms, right? But they'll have this like flabby chest as well, soft flabby chest, and they'll have this round belly. And that's the worst thing ever, because it's very hard to know what to do in that situation as well when you're skinny fat. Because should you cut weight, but then you might look at yourself and you're like, why would I cut weight? Because my arms are skinny, right? I've got no muscle. But then you look down at your belly and your belly's like protruding, and you think to yourself, and then you think to yourself, what, I might bulk. Then you look at your belly and you think twice, because you already think, what, I've already got a big belly, so what do I do? And it's a bit of a double-edged sword if you're not sure what to do. But having a lot more muscle on your body will allow you to burn more fat. As long as you're doing, you've got some kind of muscle on your body, and then you start implementing your cardio, and then you start adding in, your calorie deficit, then that's optimal conditions for even a recomposition. So yeah, if you're someone who's fat right now, don't be ashamed of yourself, because those people they have the ability, they have the latent ability within them to glow up and have like massive recomposition and massive gains. That person can easily become unrecognizable if they just do things right, and which in my opinion is very, very simple. And the fourth one, the fat loss trio, which I mentioned before, is walking, weights and protein. That's the fat loss cardio, and that is what worked for me every single day. In about 2021, when I lost about 20 odd pounds, that's what I did. And it's literally as simple as that. I walked daily. I lifted about 4 to 6 times a week, depending on how tired I was, and I just consumed a lot of protein, high protein. And in terms of walking and steps, things like that, I didn't really measure my steps in terms of how people have them watches on. I didn't do anything like that. I would say about 8k to 12k steps is ideal for every single day if you can manage that. I did mine a lot of the time on the treadmill. When I could do it. I did it outside, because at the time I didn't have a job, so I was alright. I could just walk around all day in the sun. And when it comes to weights, you need to have a serious aesthetic training program, because for years I would just bounce around programs, right? I would do random programs. Sometimes I would do 5x5 strong lifts. Sometimes I would do these strongman workouts. But I thought to myself, in about 2020, when I put on some weight, I'm like, I want to look like aesthetic. I want to look good. I want to look like I've been lifting weights, because at this point in time in my life, I had been training for about 7 or 8 years, which is, I'm ashamed to say, right? Because you could not tell this was a person who had been lifting for that long. But if you ask me questions, and if you knew me personally, you're like, oh, these guys go to a gym, can I train with you? Then I could give you a whole book of knowledge, right? From the top of my head. But in terms of actual visual proof, you're like, does this guy go to the gym? I can't tell. But yeah, after 2021, I started working out in an aesthetic way. I started consuming a lot of more protein, and those two things on its own, just training in the right way and having a lot of protein, it made a massive difference to how I looked. And this is what worked for me. I walked, like I said before, I walked pretty much every single day. I lifted 4 to 6 times. I ate high protein, and that's literally the fat loss trio. And the thing is, it sounds very, very simple, and you think to yourself, what, is this guy being honest? So forget running till you collapse. Start walking daily. Lift at least about 4 times a week. Track your meals. And my school group has this plan, my school community. So join that. It's free to join anyway. No harm in joining it. Link is in the description below, the first one. Click on that. Thank you.